Everyone, welcome to the Grafton Select Board for September 7th, 2021. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. First order of business, would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. To have a few just public announcements here that we'd like to share with you. Just as a reminder to all residents, the Municipal Center is open. However, we ask that everyone, regardless of vaccination status, please wear a mask while in the building. We thank everyone for the cooperation. Also, as we move into the fall, please remember that dusk to dawn is the peak activity time for mosquitoes. Residents, please protect yourselves from the bugs and the insects and from bites. We will continue to update residents on all activities regarding from the Central Mass Mosquito Control Program, including findings and future sprayings. Just a reminder that the brush dump will be open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. beginning today, Tuesday, September 7th. It will also be open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this is all weather permitting. So please, if it's raining or inclement weather, just check the website to determine the status of the brush dump. Just a reminder that the Select Board will be holding a public hearing to obtain input regarding the Grafton-Upton Railroad facility and operations. This input will be summarized and provided to the Environmental Protection Agency for consideration in the pre-filing settlement negotiation with the Grafton-Upton Railroad to resolve alleged violations of the Clean Air Act's chemical accident prevention regulations at the company's propane terminal in North Grafton. Please note that this public hearing will be held starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, September 9, 2021. It will be held here at the Grafton Municipal Center at 30 Providence Road, Conference Room A, as well as via Zoom. The Zoom link is posted on the agenda. Grafton Common update. Work has begun on the brick sidewalks. We will have an update, and the Common will be open for public in a week. Just a reminder that there is an art auction being held online from September 13th to the 17th to benefit the Small Stones Art Festival. For more information, please visit www.smallstonesfestival.org. And that's all I have. Do I have any announcements from public input or comments tonight? All right, not seeing any. With the board's permission, I would like to take an item out of order tonight. With us, we have Chief Crapo, Grafton Police Department here. We'd like to take appointments from Town Administrator, Permanent Full-Time Police Officer, and we can have that now if that's okay with the board.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just want to introduce you to Officer Brett Knightford from Westfield, Mass., and he'll be moving to the area in not too distant future. Officer Knightford was appointed after completing the examination back in January. He did very well, and he's one of the few candidates that took the examination for police officer, and he was self-sponsored in the police academy, so what he has is police academy under his belt, and we don't have to do that 6 months of training, so we can get him on the road that much sooner, which is what we need. Officer Knightford's a graduate of the MPTC, that's the Municipal Police Training Committee, and the Combination Mass National Guard Academy for basic recruit officer. As I stated, he was self-sponsored, meaning he went on his own time at his own expense. Bought all his uniforms, paid for the course, and that was conducted in Worcester through the National Guard and the MPTC. He's also a graduate of Roberts Wesleyan College in Rochester, New York, with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice. He is currently a member of the Massachusetts National Guard. He is a specialist, currently assigned to the 747th Military Police Company. He enlisted in the National Guard, has been serving the state and his country since 2014. And during his tours just recently, he was assigned to tours in Washington, D.C. after the incidents there. And also, during last year's demonstrations, he was assigned in Boston for an extended tour, helping Boston police and the state police with the demonstrations in that city. And I present to you Officer Brett Knightford.
Thank Good evening, Officer Knightford. How are you?
Pretty good, sir. How's about
Good.
yourself?
Just want to welcome you to Grafton. Thank you very much. Do you want to say a few words about yourself? I know the chief said quite a bit. But
Made my resume sound really good hearing it from someone else. I'm looking forward to working for this town. I'm originally from Charlton, Mass, so I'm from the general area, and it is really great to be back in Central Mass.
Great, thank you. Any board members have any questions? No? Well, thank you very much for coming out tonight. I think at this point, if it's okay with the board, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to affirm the town administrator's appointment of Brett Knightford as a permanent full-time police officer effective August 23rd, 2021, and pending a full background check and passing of a physical and psychological exam.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried unanimous. Officer Knightford, welcome to Grafton. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much for your service.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. All right, thank you very much. All right, so first up tonight, I wanted to ask the board about going back to Schedule A, Polish National Home War Memorial. We received a piece of correspondence from Mr. Kuris about the potential future of the Polish National Home, and there's a war memorial. So I wanted to at least bring it up to the board's option tonight about if it's interest in accepting the memorial and relocating it to some partial in Grafton. And I guess as chair, I want to ask the board if it has any input on where it would like to see, or does it have a process in which it would like to utilize. We've never really had something like this before. So this is sort of new and uncharted territory. I want to, if we can keep it simple, great. If someone has an idea, I figured this is an opportunity here to discuss it.
I thought that Joe had a location.
Mill Villages Park, right?
It was Mill Villages Park, but
Yeah.
Again, it's the board's under the board's discretion. If it has another idea that it wants to vet for any reason, this would be the time to discuss it.
May I speak, Mr. Chair? I think Mill Villages Park is a great location, and I would like to go with the recommendation of that. My only question would be whether or not there's going to be any type of ceremony to move it over. I think that would be nice to recognize. It doesn't have to be anything big, but if we could do a small ceremony and move it over at that time. I don't know what the rest of the board's thoughts are on that, or how that would be done. It's just an idea.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so we have a Veterans Affairs group that have just come together. I think it would be great to just get their input on a ceremony. I'm totally on board with the idea of putting it in Mill Villages Park. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful gift, and thanks to the Polish Home for that. So I think we just reach out to that committee and ask them for their advice.
Okay.
Great idea.
All right. Anybody have anything?
Putting a sign at its new location, giving the history of where it started and how it got there, be something like a CPC project could fund to do, or does anybody know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it would be appropriate for that. Depends on how much money it is, obviously.
Right.
Might be just something we can
Just a
fund
full
if you're just
granite
looking-
slab with the whole history carved in.
Okay.
Someone
That's
has a design
definitely
concept.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe not
I'll
that.
submit a design to Colleen. She can.
Okay.
Did we? The
gonna
only
cricket
question
it?
I have
Yeah.
that I don't know has come up at all is how it's getting moved. Are we responsible for moving?
Well, I think one of the things I would like to ask is if we could just have, the TA through your office reach out to Peter Wayner, who's the president. I have his contact information. Joe gave it to me last week. And if you wanted to reach out to him directly and work with that, if the board is okay, and then coordinate with we have the Veterans Advisory Committee, but we also have the Soldier War Memorial Group as well. I didn't know if that's what your intention, and that's what you meant, or did you want to have the Veterans Advisory Committee?
I think it was more the War Memorial.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay, and just we work and coordinate with that. Does that work with everybody?
I think I'll work with the memorial committee on where to put it and how to get it there, and then I'll work with the advisory committee on the celebration part of it.
Okay,
Makes sense.
excellent.
If that works.
Okay. All right. So I'll get you Peter's information.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have something that came up to us last minute. We have 30 days from which to exercise our first right of refusal regarding a Chapter 61A conversion. So this is not a sale. This was told to me that there is approximately 1.4 acres that's connected, that's in Chapter 61A, that's in residential use, and the homeowners would like to, or the owners would like to take it out and just apply the full lot to their own personal use. But we have 30 days to really render this opinion, so we needed to put it on tonight. We have information from Conservation, I believe the Board of Assessors, and the Planning Department, but not the Planning Board, because the Planning Board hasn't had an opportunity yet to meet and discuss this. So just wanted to know tonight from the board if it has any interest in exercising its first right of refusal for 9 George Hill Road.
Peter?
Yes.
So is this, is there more than 1.488 acres in 61A? There is, so we're just piecemealing this thing, that's what it is?
Yeah, there's two processes. There's one where you remove the whole thing or sell it,
Right.
and then there's one where they're just converting it to attach it to an existing lot. I would assume to round out whatever lot it is.
So what's the remaining land that's in 61A?
Could you pull up 9 George Hill Road under the assessor's map, and you will see the. I think we actually have it.
We have it here,
We
I
have
just
it here.
didn't know which one was 9.
Yeah, it was hard to read.
Do you want the attachment that's in the packet, or would you like me to pull up the GIS?
Pull up the
G-
GIS
GIS,
map,
okay.
please. Yeah, thank you. I agree. The packet was very.
I think Conservation even commented on the image.
George Hill.
Right, so.
Yeah, which lot is it?
This lot here,
Which one, Matt?
so,
9.
This one here?
nope, it's here,
This one?
lot 2R.
You see number 9 under house? That one right there.
So there's 4.344 acres, and we're taking out 1.448 acres?
I think what we're doing is we're actually adding
We're-
this chunk
Yep.
to that chunk.
So that you've got the 4 and change acres, and you're adding the 1.4 acres. You're taking it off of the larger parcel. If I understand that correctly.
So what's staying in 61A? This is a house lot.
It is.
How's a house lot get into 61A? I know, you don't know.
It's a
Yeah,
great question.
It's, it is a good
It's a
question.
great
So,
question.
so we've got a house lot that's 4.34 acres, and we're taking out 1.4 acres, and the rest of it's staying in 61A?
No, I think the rest of it is already out of 61A.
Oh,
I think what they're trying to do is just add that 1.5 or 1.48 to the rest of it.
They're converting a parcel of their land that's under Chapter 61A, and they're converting it into typical residential use. So it'll be on the tax roll. It wouldn't be under 61A. But as a board, we have 30 days to exercise our first right of refusal on this.
well, I mean, I don't wanna buy it, I just,
Right.
I wanna know how, well, you can't know how it got into 61A. It just seems kinda silly that such a small piece of property got into 61A. I don't know when it happened or anything like that, but is there any left in 61A on this 4.34 acres?
Right.
Because if there's more left in the 4.3 acres, then take it all out and let's get this done with and not just piecemeal this thing.
Well, I don't think they have to take it all out. I think
No,
it's
no,
at
no,
their discretion to convert.
I know they don't have to take it out.
The, so I don't have the
I'm
history of.
guessing though, planning would have mentioned if this was adjacent to another big chunk of 61A.
That was of any use to the municipality.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, the advice from everybody that looked over this was we shouldn't be exercising our right.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I just think in the future, you know, and again, I don't know when this happened, in the future, we shouldn't be putting 4.34 acres in 61A. And that's, and that's the rule of this board. So, you know, not sure how it happened, but I'm not in favor of buying it, that's for sure.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. Do you need a motion from us?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
please.
So, let's see, I'll make a motion that the board vote to not exercise its right of first refusal on the 1.488 acres of land located at 9 George Hill Road that's being converted from Chapter 61A to residential use.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare motion carried unanimous. Thank you very much. I would like to take another item out of order tonight, and that is the discussion with the Affordable Housing Trust. We have here tonight Mr. Spinney, Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm sorry, we already took it out of order. Never mind. Bruce, you're coming up next. Just let's go down the list. I'm sorry. This is different. All right. You're gonna stay right there. We're gonna get through these two next items. My bad, Bruce. Can we take up the one-day beer and wine, the music licenses for Grafton Arts Incorporated? All right. Anyone have any questions or comments? Oh, Sean, yeah, come on up.
Come on up.
I didn't recognize you in the plot.
You're not gonna believe this, but somebody told me they thought I was you today. They
You
said-
look that good?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I said. I said, "You're way more handsome than I am." I'll take that as a compliment.
Boy, oh boy, I could say something here.
I swear to God, this was just a few hours ago.
Oh God, that's great. Must be the road. All right. Do you want to give us some background, Sean?
So these are the events that I came and talked to about a few weeks ago. I can't remember, maybe 2 meetings ago. At that meeting, I don't know, this is all new to me, so we probably should have just checked this box then. But you've already granted approval to use the common for October 2nd for the event, but we didn't ask for a one-day liquor license at that time. There's actually 2 events that I'm asking for today, so that's one of them, and the second is one that's going to be held inside the Congregational Church, also the same organization, Grafton Arts Inc., to support the Small Stones Festival. So the second event is part of the Small Stones Festival. It's a classical music portion. The first event is a fundraiser for the Small Stones Festival.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Right. I can entertain a motion.
So I move the board vote to approve the one-day beer and wine license and entertainment licenses for Grafton Arts Inc. on October 2nd, 2021 and October 23rd, 2021, contingent upon proof of liability insurance.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare motion carried unanimous. All right. Thank you. And I know you're here to.
Second.
We've got one more thing here.
Yeah, one more thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've kind of done out of order here, and I guess, it's so complicated in these times. We've come to you for the patio, and now I have to look. So this is actually for the outdoor entertainment license. I think we got approval for outdoor seating, but there are like several things we were supposed to all do at the same time, and we just haven't, been as coordinated as we should. But we did finish the patio, which I meant actually to bring photos of because it came out great.
Looks good.
Yeah, it
I've
looks
seen
really
it.
good.
One thing that we changed from what I told you guys, I said we were going to put a solid granite border around, and talking to the guy who does the work, he said the problem would be pooling of water. So we changed that to be cobblestones, and we left a little spot,
Nice.
maybe a half an inch between each cobblestone to allow the water to flow through it. I think it looks great, and I hope you'll come and look at it because it's nice. So today we're asking for an outdoor entertainment license for that space.
All right. Any questions?
What's an emergency outdoor entertainment license?
I think it's because it's COVID related, like
Oh, okay.
it's just a different
Okay.
That's
process.
exactly it.
The background on this, Ray, if you're interested.
No,
Okay. All right.
but thank you for asking.
Yeah. I didn't have to go down that road. Okay.
I do have one.
I think I know what it is. Go ahead.
Is it the 10 p.m.?
Yeah, it's the 10 p.m.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Just because I think we limited all of the outdoor entertainment license to a certain time, and I think it was a little earlier than 10, so just to make it align with everybody else's.
I actually, when I filled it out, I didn't know what anybody else was doing, so that's what I asked for.
Yeah.
But whatever you guys,
So I believe it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday was no later than 9 p.m. for outdoor entertainment.
9.
Your indoor one can go as long as you're
Okay.
open.
Cool.
This has nothing to do with anything that's indoors. But yeah, that's the only thing. But you're not gonna have anything on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. You're just looking for Saturday and Sunday.
Well, so right now, we're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday because of COVID. We're trying to start to open Sunday for a kind of midday music thing, music forward as opposed to background music. We thought we were gonna start it, we had an event a week ago Sunday. We thought we were gonna start the sort of weekly thing this past Sunday, but it's turned out with the Delta, it's become harder to book people. So that probably, I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. But as of, historically, all we've done is had music on Saturdays. I don't really see that changing. There might be an event, special event where people ask for it, but under normal circumstances, it'd be a Friday thing.
Got it.
Or Sunday if the weather's good.
So I think as long as we're cutting the music off at 9, then we're good.
Right. I would just say, if we're gonna read the motion, if you would just accommodate Mr. Paget for Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I know it says not applicable here, but is that something that you would be looking to do anyways, if you're open on a Thursday?
Yeah, if you're willing to do that, that'd be great. You know, it's not something we're doing now, but in the future, it'd be awesome if the opportunity was there. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's fine. So can we just say subject to standard outdoor entertainment conditions? Is that explicit enough?
The 9 o'clock end.
Well, 8
Well,
o'clock
we-
was Sunday through Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Oh,
then we
gotcha.
did till 9 PM on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
All of them are exactly the same?
Pretty, they should be.
Then I think you could just say to the standards everybody else has been held to, and
Okay. Yep.
we'll work that.
Perfect.
Okay, I
Motion.
could take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve the emergency outdoor entertainment license for the Townhouse Tavern, subject to the standard conditions that the other businesses have been granted.
All right.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Clear, motion carried unanimous. All right, Sean.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
appreciate
Yep.
it. Sean. Good to see you. See you all.
Good to see you.
See you next week, maybe?
I'm sure some of them will.
All right.
Take care.
Next up now, Bruce. Thank you. Sorry, I'm had in my notes something different. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
It's Bruce Spinney, Affordable Housing Trust Chair. This is an effort from the trust to make sure that we're communicating with the bodies that are in our direct report, so to speak. We wanted to just briefly go over some of the projects and some of the proposed warrant articles that the trust is considering. So originally, when I kind of started this process, we have a select board rep, which is Mr. Often, who could do most of this reporting for us. But you guys had the Grafton Upton Railroad on the 9th, which is our regularly scheduled meeting. So I wanted to make sure, at the very least, all the channels were open and we were chatting with you. So to date, I don't believe the trust has actually sponsored its own warrant article. So I want to make sure that we're at least talking. So you're not blindsided, because there's not a lot of time left before the warrant's going to get signed. So we need to make sure that we vote on what we want to do on the 9th, get it to you in the appropriate amount of time to make sure that it gets on the warrant. So what we're asking for is just 2 spots to be assigned to us. We'll let you know on the 9th by email if we need both. I can't speak for the trust. We're going to vote on this on Thursday, but one was considering 25 Worcester Street and the deed restriction that's on there, which is the primary motivator for meeting tonight. And the other is Hudson Ave, which is something that the trust had looked at several years ago, and it was put down, and I believe the trust has the inclination to start up that process again. So that's going to take a lot more time and energy. So that's something that we're going to discuss on the 9th. And of course, you guys have your own meetings, so you can't be there in force, so to speak. So, I figured I'd at least let you know what we were doing. So if you had some comments or feedback you wanted to give us, or, had any concerns that were on the top of your minds, that I could get back to the trust on the 9th, which would be the only night we can meet to actually vote on moving forward. 25 Worcester Street, through a little bit of homework and diligence as we've gone through some of the concepts and the ideas. The trust is having a hard time wrapping its head around the restriction that accompanies the deed. So in the recording after the town meeting vote, it of course puts the warrant article itself as an attachment to the deed, which is the restriction to the age restriction that's on the property. So from a trust perspective, from our consultants and our counsel, we've kind of determined that any project that we were to do there would not count directly against our SHI because it's restrictive. So in some communities and in some areas where you can actually prove that a particular demographic is in higher need than another, then you can get away with that. We do not have that research at our fingertips. Our housing production plan makes note of the different demographics in town, but we never actually comprehensively studied a particular demographic that has more need than any other. Of course, we don't want to look the gift horse in the mouth, but you know, we want to go back and see if we present this to the town, if they're willing to take that restriction off. The only place you can do it is town meeting. We have our council drafting the language to make it sure it's done appropriately. We have not voted to actually sign that yet. Again, we're doing that on the 9th. The other piece was Hudson, which is the parcel that's on Millbury Street. Actually, we keep referring to it as the Hudson Ave parcel, but it's essentially what was by warrant article in 1960 restricted to be the use of the cemetery. I'm not sure if any of the board members here were on there or watching at the time, but essentially we went out, we looked at it, we did some concept plans and some kind of like stage 1 stuff, some survey work and some delineation work. And then we brought it to the board to move it the next step in the process. And it was discovered that in the 60s, or 1960 I believe, it was restricted. It wasn't gifted to the cemetery departments. It was just said that the brush dump, and then there was some 11 acres of uplands that are back there. I think it's 14 in total is what we were looking for. Was for a expansion of the cemetery. And when we discussed it at the time, that expansion's a good 30 years out from what we were told, and then it kind of just dropped. So the trust wants to take a look at it again. There's actually like 3 pieces to it. So there's one across the street as well, but that's an Article 97 land, so we wouldn't be able to touch that. It's also very ledgy. I'm not sure how familiar you are with where we're at with the 25 Worcester Street. I can answer some questions, not decisions that we may make, but can at least provide feedback since I'm here. We do have a full complement now, except for one member, which you've got a resignation letter tonight. We can just ask that you move on that as quickly as you can. It's very important from a trust perspective with the amount of money and the amount of projects that are coming up that we have a full body. Because there's a great amount of autonomy that comes with the trust, and there's a large pool of money that after some 10 years of on and off the trust myself, we're finally in a position where we can make a significant impact on our SHI in town, which is the GSX project that's not the Pine Street but the Upton Street version of it, which is a separate project entirely. I know you talked about the awarding the bid a couple weeks ago. I was here for that. I know there's a PNS in the works now. So we did meet with Evan and some of the other department heads about a week ago.
Mhm.
Or was it this week?
No, it was last week.
All right, great. To kind of discuss, making sure that the trust is in line with the town and kind of coordinating those efforts, because there's 3 parties at play. So the trust is kind of on its own with its own general autonomy, and then of course you guys are controlling the PNS and the negotiation on that side. So we just wanted to make sure that we're all talking so nothing gets overlooked. So one of the things that the trust is looking to do is to put together a grant program to subsidize some of the soft costs for that particular location in an effort to move it from its 10%, which is conforming to our current zoning bylaws, and moving that to the 25% threshold. And the reason why that is so important for us is not only does it provide a good 30 some odd units that are affordable in addition to the 10% that would already go there, but it's apartments. So if there's 120 units going into the particular center, if we get to that threshold, all of them count against our SHI, which is very important from our total demand, because with Pine Street being a phased project and all apartments and also 25% affordable, that with this would put us at our 10% threshold, which is something that was inconceivable up until the current time. So the trust feels it's very important not only to get the units, but to also advance to give the town some local autonomy over 40B in the future. I would say probably 5 years ago you would have, no inclination to even attempt to get to this point, but it seems fortuitous set of events have put these things in motion, so we really want to capitalize on it. So that's a brief update on where the trust is. If there's any questions I can answer, what we've gone through, but I kind of told the trust and was given permission to kind of come here and just make sure that everybody's chatting, and especially if we're going to do stuff that's not typically something that we've done in the past, which is proposing warrant articles. So,
Anybody have questions? Doreen?
One quick one. So, first of all, Bruce, thanks for coming in and explaining everything to the board. I much appreciate it. My question is more of a general one. When you were talking about 25 Worcester Street and the lack of research of demographics that the town has done, is that something you think the Affordable Housing Trust would consider doing, or what do you think the process should look like for that? Because I feel like that would be an important tool, not only for the Affordable Housing Trust to have, but the town in general, and would just like your insight on that.
So we spend a great deal of money on the housing production plan, and every couple of years we do it, and it's available now. We do a lot of research on the demographics in town. I just don't feel there's sufficient evidence supported in that research to say that there is a particular part of our community that needs it more than another.
I see.
And that's kind of what we would be looking for. If we were to look any further, we're not going to find any more details. It's
Okay.
pretty straightforward what we found. And it's professionally done, and it did quite a bit of research. And I don't believe the census data that we've gotten now is going to change it in any significant way. From the preliminary read I have of it. Now, we'll go back and do it again. I believe we'll start the process next year.
Understood.
But I don't feel it's going to change in any significant way.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Bruce?
All right.
All right, thanks,
Terrific.
Bruce.
Well, thanks for having me, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in.
Bye now, guys.
First,
Good to see you. All right, next up, we have Paige Contracting Incorporated.
I wanna talk about, what he was just talking about, can I do that?
We're really not, no, I'm not gonna allow it tonight for that because I didn't invite the rest of the public to come in and talk about this. There's be public hearings in the future, that you can attend as well. I know Finance Committee will have one and they'll have their meeting on the on the 9th.
All right, Dave, thank you.
We also have a meeting on the 9th.
I said that, yep.
Right.
All right, next up, I have Paige Contracting Incorporated, Adams Road Barn.
Yep, so this is, just approving the contract to demolish the old milking barn at 46 Adams Road, to make that a parking area for, the trailhead that's back there. So this was a capital money approved at town meeting, we're just signing the contract.
Anyone have any questions?
I only had one question on this. There's just a little issue with the performance date. Had to be done by the end of August or extended by the town in writing. So we'll presumably you guys will just extend that.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
That was the only thing I noticed.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I can entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the contract with Paige Contracting for the demolition and removal of the concrete milking barn located on Adams Road in the amount not to exceed $35,500.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimous. Ask the committee pass over the Renard HVAC control contract tonight. And next up, we're going for a road closure request for Grafton Congregational Church. You don't have anybody from the Congo Church here tonight?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Is there anybody on the Zoom call? No.
I don't believe so. Nobody's raising their hand at the moment.
No, no one was supposed to be on tonight.
Okay.
Looking here, double checking our. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions? No, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to approve the closure of the road between Grafton Common and the Congregational Church on September 26, 2021 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried. All right. Next up, we have state aid reimbursable programs, reimbursement request for Chapter 90. Anyone have any questions? All right, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to authorize the state aid reimbursement programs reimbursement request number 113278 in the amount of $64,150.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimous. Thank you. All right, next up, setting of town meeting, opening the warrant for the fall town meeting. So, I believe you just get to my part here. So at this point, we're just opening the warrant. Any questions? If not, I can entertain a motion.
Well, just one thing, we need to, or you need to get in touch with the moderator, that it looks like this is gonna have to be outside again.
So I've been emailing back and forth with the moderator.
Okay.
There is no provision to change the date.
Oh, no.
So it'd have to be at 7:30 outdoors, which puts us in mosquito territory.
We're a hat.
What's that?
We're a hat.
So we're working it out, but
Okay, but it's gonna have to be outside. More than
so
likely.
there'll have to be some kind of provision. Yeah, we're figuring it out now. So.
Okay.
I do have a call into the Secretary of State's office to see if there's any other relief that we can navigate, but at the current time, it looks like we're stuck with what the bylaw tells us to do.
What if we opened it and postponed it to another time? Is that possible?
There is some of that for emergency situations, so like a weather event and stuff.
You only need the
COVID.
moderator to do that.
Correct. So that's an option as well. But I'm gonna weigh all of that out as we navigate that.
Okay.
I was thinking that this morning too.
Great minds.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to open the warrant for the 2021 fall town meeting.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, next up, library card sign-up proclamation. Tonight we have with us Aaron. Hi, how are you? I know Beth couldn't make it out tonight, but this is a proclamation that we were asked if I could have, well, I don't know if you want to come up here and give a little background on this, or we want us to read it and discuss it, however you like to go.
Hi, Aaron Van de Steen, Board of Trustees for the Grafton Public Library. There's really not much to say. It's September's National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So the proclamation, we ask the Select Board to read in order to let the community know that it's a good month to sign up for a library card if you don't have one, or even the opportunity to get your library card replaced for free this month. Generally, there's a fee, but the Grafton Public Library waives that fee. So, but yeah, thank you for reading it.
Any questions?
No, the timing's great though.
It is. I agree.
To the public, go to the library. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt.
Is the library, where would they go to get these cards?
I'm sorry?
Is the library open yet, and where would they go to get these cards in the month of September?
Great question. So anybody looking to get a library card currently can go to the Grafton Public Library website and fill out the online form because currently the library is not open yet. Just a little bit of background. Currently the shelving hasn't been delivered for the library yet, which is why they're unable to open because they don't have any place to unpack and store the books yet. Currently, the library building committee and the town are working together in order to facilitate that, but I don't have any further update at this point, unless,
I'm gonna get, you're stealing all my thunder. I'm gonna give an update at the end.
oh, great.
Much along the lines of what Aaron is saying. Well, I think some of the shelving just came in today, and there'll be more towards the end of the week.
Okay.
So, but I can go into further detail later if you want, Mr. Chairman.
And we have a meeting next Monday, so I should have an update
Okay.
next week.
All right, we'll wait till the TA gives his report. All right.
Sounds good.
At this point, I'll read the proclamation for the board.
Thank you.
September is Library Card Sign-Up Month. Whereas a library card is the most essential school supply of all. Whereas libraries playing a crucial role in the education and development of children. Whereas libraries offer a variety of programs to stimulate an interest in reading and learning. Whereas library resources serve students of all ages, from early literacy to PhD programs to research databases. Whereas signing up for a library card is the first step on the path towards academic achievement and lifelong learning. Whereas a library card gives students the tools that foster success in the classroom and beyond. Whereas librarians create welcoming and inclusive spaces for students of all backgrounds to learn together and engage with one another. Whereas a library card empowers all people to pursue their dreams and explore new passions and interests. Whereas libraries are constantly transforming and expanding services to meet the evolving needs of their communities. Therefore, let it be resolved that I, Peter Carlson, Select Board Chair, proclaim September Library Card Sign-Up Month in Grafton, Massachusetts, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card this month. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we declare September Library Card Sign-Up Month and encourage all Grafton residents to obtain a library card.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right. Next up here, we have a resignation here. Resignations for Owner's Project Manager. Mr. DeShane, a motion.
I move the board vote to accept the resignation of Andy DeShane as the Town of Grafton Owner's Project Manager and to send him a letter of thanks.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion?
Evan, you and I talked about this, about me offering to fill in. Where is that?
Can you do that if you're on the board?
Of course I can.
Oh.
It's for nothing. It's free.
Okay, we can.
No, I'm just asking you. You know, we talked about it. I just didn't know if you had done anything. You said you were gonna look into it or something.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far with it yet.
Okay.
We've been just handling things as they pop up. So,
Okay.
but we can certainly get together on that.
All right. Any other further discussion on the resignation of Mr. DeShane? I just want to comment. I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. DeShane on the DPW building committee, and I want to say that through all of the ups and downs with that project, he handled them with the utmost professionalism and courtesy. I think he was an asset for that project. I can't speak for the library. I'm not on the library committee, but and all of the other projects. But it was nice to work with him closely on DPW, and I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah. Same with the library building committee. This is a hard resignation to accept, but I wish Andy well and look forward to seeing him around town. But he's done an incredible job with the library project as well. And before that, the high school as well. He was the OPM for the high school as well. So he's worked on a lot of capital projects here in Grafton, and I'm very grateful.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried. Okay, next up we have appointments here, Board of Registrar of Voters. Do I have any questions or comments? If not, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint Anne Marie Foley as the.
Oh, we're doing a
Sorry.
Board of Registrar of Voters.
I move the board vote to appoint Diane Hutchinson Fontana to the Board of Registrar of Voters for a term to expire on June 30, 2022.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried unanimous. Thank you. All right, next up here, Select Board appointment for the Open Space and Recreation Committee. So what we have here in front of us is one of two of the at-large positions. And tonight we have Anne-Marie Foley. Anne, you wanted to come on up? If the board has any questions, welcome.
Thanks.
You're becoming a regular face here. It's great to see you.
Not the board of registers, though. Anne-Marie Foley, South Street. So yeah, I applied for this. Since I've been in town, I've always been involved in the open space and recreation here. I was on the Recreation Commission for about 10 years, including serving as chair. I founded and chaired the Fields and Parks Coalition way back when we were looking at building soccer field, which ended up on 122. Super Park Committee, Skate Park Committee, Grafton Land Trust, interested in preserving open space. So I see this committee as something to try to meld maybe the master plan with a greater open, space and recreation plan, in addition to trying to educate all the departments on where we should be going with this issue.
All right.
Any questions or comments?
Anybody have any questions for Anne-Marie?
I never heard of skate park committee.
We built a skate park, from scratch. It was great park right behind the this building. Evan and I have talked about it, and it came down along with the super park when the high school was built. We were told that they were going to both be rebuilt, and that obviously hasn't happened. So definitely it was a loss. It was a great park. It was highly utilized. Really never had any trouble with any issues up there. So a shame, but I'm hoping that we can get that going again at some point. Unrelated to this committee, obviously, but I've been talking to Evan about that separately.
Any other questions or comments for Anne-Marie? All right, I can entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint Anne-Marie Foley as an at-large member to the Open Space and Recreation Committee for a term set to expire on June 30, 2023.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare motion carried unanimous. Thanks, Anne-Marie, for your service. Appreciate you
you.
volunteering.
Thank you.
I noticed there's no plastic water bottles this time. I like it.
All right, next up we have Veterans Advisory Committee. This is a 5-member board here, 7 members. We talked about, so what we have in front of us tonight is we have a number of appointments to make for this. All right, so I guess, does the board wish to talk to some of the members who would like to volunteer? They're here, I think we've got a few here tonight. So why don't we start with, we're going on the list. We'll start with Bob DeToma. Mr. DeToma, are you available?
I am. How are you tonight?
Good evening. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And, well, not that you have to. I think a lot of people already know who you are, but this gives you an opportunity to remind us.
Very well. Resident of Grafton since 2007, working for the town since 2013 in the capacity of manager for the TV studio, and voting member of the Cable Oversight Committee, former member of the Charter Review Committee, and looking forward to the opportunity to serve the town further on this committee. I learned 2 things growing up: never let the flag hit the ground, and always honor and respect veterans.
Any questions for Bob? Okay. How do we want to do this? You want to take a motion per person that we have here tonight, or do you want to go through all the lists and then we'll take a motion?
I just do one motion.
Yeah, one
Okay.
motion.
All right. Thanks, Bob. We'll get to you. We'll get back to you in a few minutes. I think next up we have Mr. Gallagher.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Just living the dream.
All right.
What kind of dream is that, Jim?
It's a good dream where where I know Ray Mead and all his friends.
All right. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Jim?
Well, I was part of the witness protection program, and no, I'm a kid. We've been here in Grafton since 1978. I've been fortunate to work on a number of committees over the years. I'm on the Housing Authority, the Community Preservation, the Cable Oversight Committee, where we pay homage every month to Bob DeToma. I was on one of the original signers of the Grafton Charter, so I'm really old. But I'm also a veteran of from 1969 to 1972, and I really look forward to this opportunity to watching out for my fellow men and women who proudly serve this country.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Jim? Okay, thank you, Jim. Next up, do we have Mr. Remlard? Yeah, you want to come on up, have a seat? Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been in the Army 18 years. Still currently in the reserves. I am a GS-11 for the Department of Veterans Affairs. Been there 12 years. Been living in Grafton since April when I got married and moved in with my wife, who's been a resident from Grafton since she was born here. I've served in several like veteran events, Operation Stand Down in Rhode Island. I deployed to Iraq in 2006 to 2007 with the 399th Combat Support Hospital under the 25th Infantry Division and 1st CAF.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Remlard? All right, thank you. All
Thank
right,
you, sir.
thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Members of the board.
Yep. Sean?
Wasn't expecting a test.
You don't have to write anything down.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Just no eraser on it either. So, I guess to keep the thing going there, my wife and I came to town in '93, and a little while after that, I jumped onto the Board of Health. Served that board for a while. I worked with Ray a little bit with on emergency management for a couple of years. Took a hiatus, and when my position changed to work. But anyway, got back into a couple of things. I'm working with Economic Development Committee, Grafton Housing Authority, and then when I saw this come up, I said, well, I'm very interested in this stuff, and being a veteran myself, I like this, and I feel I can be an asset on this committee or advisory board, whatever. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell.
All right. Any questions from the board?
Okay.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
All right, is Mr. Hutchinson, was Wayne on? Wayne Hutchinson Fontana? Did he join us? No?
I do not see him on the Zoom call.
And I know that, I was told that Justin Stone wouldn't be able to make it tonight. Where's he here?
Justin Stone is with us.
Okay, Justin. How are you?
Justin, you are muted. I like watching all the other muted people.
This seems
yell
like it's
and-
going to be a really fun committee.
Hi, can you hear me now?
All right, Justin, how are you?
I'm doing good. And yourself?
Good. Thank you very much for making it out tonight.
Thank you for having me. So I recently retired from the Air Force after 20 years. I was an enlisted member for the first 10 years, and then I crossed over to the dark side and became an officer for the last 10 years. Moved here to Massachusetts, specifically to Grafton in August of last year. And since then, I've been a DoD contractor working out on Hanscom Air Force Base. I do a lot with trying to get veterans hired. Transitioning from the military to civilian job during COVID-19 was pretty difficult. I learned a lot during it. So I tend to give back through Hire Heroes and also just through my company and try to tackle a lot of those transitioning veterans. I have served on a school board before during one of my assignments to North Dakota, and I loved being on the board and helping out where I could. Definitely looking to do that again, which is why I applied to the Veterans Board.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Justin?
Yep.
All right, well, thank you very much for making the call, telling us a little bit about yourself. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that's it for what we have for members tonight. At this point, if the board doesn't have any questions or comments, I can entertain a motion.
I just want to say one thing. I'm really impressed with the variety of services that are represented, ages, tours. You know, this is looking like a fantastic committee. Just really excited about all the interest. People have just moved into town. It's fantastic. So thanks to everybody who showed an interest.
Yeah, and I also just want to add thank you all for your service too.
Yep. Any other questions or comments from the board? Thank you for that. All right, I will entertain a motion.
So I move the board vote to appoint Bob DeToma, Jim Gallagher, Lucas Remillard, Sean McCavey, Wayne Hutchinson Fontana, and Justin Stone to serve on the Veterans Advisory Committee for a term set to expire on June 30, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Clear the motion carried unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming in tonight, telling us a little bit about yourselves. And I think I speak on behalf of this town and this board. Thank you very much all for your service and your dedication to the town and this important committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, if I could just say, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to represent our country. But you five folks there representing the town, you deserve our thanks as well. We appreciate the time that you spend making our life better. So thank you as well.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good night, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, with the committee's permission, I would like to move under new business, UPS tax incentive and select board input policy prioritization to discussion. That was just an omission on my part. And we can go right into policy review here tonight with regards to social media. I'm sorry, not social media. We're going to pass over social media use, but tonight we have in front of us computer information and resources policy for us to consider and weigh in tonight. Evan, you want to?
No, I'm gonna let William take this.
William, you want to?
Sure.
Background, please.
So with a lot of the recent transition in
Hey, Sean.
IT and things like that we're dealing with, we thought it pertinent to prioritize the computer information and resources policy. This policy hadn't been updated in several years, so we thought that it would be a good one to tackle. In going through it, a lot of it is based on user security and making sure that people know what they can and cannot do on town laptops, town servers, and things of that nature. We tried to make it as clear as possible while updating it. Some of the terminology and things like that was out of date. As you can see, it used to reference PDAs and Blackberries, which I don't think I've ever actually seen in person.
Get out.
I have one.
Sorry, it had to be done.
That was my favorite device I ever had, my Blackberry. Loved it. So cool at community college.
Sorry, William. Go ahead.
Go ahead, William. You were doing some work?
I was, yes. It explicitly outlines, our computer resources are the properties of the town. It explicitly states our right to monitor, even though that's not something the town does actively in the event that it becomes necessary.
That they know of.
That they know of, yes. It explicitly outlines a no expectation of privacy, which is always a good thing to have. Specifically details the responsibilities of the town administrator or the IT support services vendor, the town departments, and each individual user. Prohibited activities, things of that nature. And the rest is security, responsibilities for security, so people know what to do and what not to do with these resources, and in the event that the worst case scenario happens, what to do, who to contact, and how to rectify the problem.
Okay. Any questions on the policy?
Not on this particular policy, but in general, so this is a pretty important one because of the user responsibility with regards to security. What is there a program we use to make sure that people are aware of these policies? Do they have to sign off on them once they're approved?
This one they do have to sign off on. What they'll do is they'll sign it off, and we will have it scanned and on file. So this will become part of the employee onboarding process as well.
Yeah, so attachment A in the back just is something for them to sign off on to say that they read and they understand the policy.
Got it. My only other question on this particular one was the monitoring piece of it. From an operational standpoint, would you go to HR before initiating some type of monitoring activity? Like, what's that sort of check against a rogue PA or somebody just
Me just hanging out and watching what people are doing?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, every day. So, no. So I think it depends on what it is, right? It depends on if it's an issue that involves something of a financial matter, something that's just inappropriate use of a town device. So it depends. One of the things that we're rolling out that is going to limit the need for this is that we will be able to oh man, I just blanked on what the software is, but basically when we put our rules and permissions in place here, so when you're on our network, you can't look at websites of a certain nature, you can't do things from a certain country, all of those different basically guidelines that we put in place on our computer system. When you leave the network, your laptop can go anywhere. Our new software makes that impossible, and so that doesn't matter where you are, our laptop is our laptop, and it only can be used for the function it was deployed for. And so that'll roll out in the next probably 3 weeks. So that'll limit a lot of that. But yeah, so like let's say it was somebody we suspect is on Facebook all day at work.
Yep.
I'm technically the HR director, so I talk to myself and no, I'm kidding. So I would go to the HR analyst or the supervisor of whatever department that is, and we would work together to determine with labor council if we were going to do that. But we don't actively do that. We're not sitting in here monitoring what people are doing all day. I think that does not create a great working environment.
Any other questions on the policy? So I got one question. It's actually related to the monitoring piece. This is more of a policy question versus like the technology piece.
Okay.
On the right to monitor, we have our employees like enroll in online health forms and things of a protected nature, especially banking, direct deposits, and so on and so forth. In the policy, the one thing I didn't read in here, and you just brought this up, is what protections guarantees those users that those things are called out that shouldn't legally be monitored. So even though you're using a town-owned asset, and because you put an employee in a position to leverage an online website or portal or service, that the information that they're transmitting is protected, right? So is there provisions in this policy that call out those specific protections for employees?
I don't believe that there is.
There's not, but we can add them.
Okay. All right. And that's all I had. Anyone else have any other questions or comments? All right. Does anyone want to make a motion tonight, or do you want to have this come back?
I would recommend you have it come back.
Okay.
Because I don't think we've even thought what that language would look like. So we'll
If you
spitball
guys
some
can
ideas.
contemplate some language to talk about kind of
The
who
monitoring.
would authorize and
Sure.
just
We can come up with a better process. I was making light of it, but we can definitely come.
it's important
With
to
a
have that
different hierarchy.
second check to just make sure that you never have one person who kind of is judge, jury, and execution.
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
That sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So it's
It's a great point, Matt.
important.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
The policies we have approved, have they started making their way online yet?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
I don't believe so.
Okay, we haven't.
I believe that would fall in. We were having a discussion about the logistics of, the new policies versus the old policy book and how we're going to manage the transition to everything that we're doing now, and I think that would fall under this.
Part of the problem is you have new policies and old policies, and do you leave the old policies in place? If so, how are we denoting between the two of them on the website? Things like that. We also had talked about making the website segmented so that you have, the select board's policies, but then, finance, HR, whatever that is. So we're kind of playing around with some ideas on that.
I thought we had talked about at one point though that we don't put the old ones up because we know we're going through each and every one of them, and as they get re-approved or re-looked at, then throw that up so that it's the most current. And when people are looking for something, if they can't find it, then call and we'll tell them well, this is what it is now, but
I don't think anybody's calling about the policies, but
I was
Okay.
looking for a long time. Like, get him.
yeah,
I got a couple
you,
of
you were the one.
I was the one, so
And
I
now
just
you're
need
here,
a
so we don't
moment.
get that call.
No, yeah, the call
Um,
stopped.
I don't recall that portion. We can push them out. It's not a heavy lift, but we can prioritize that. William, can you prioritize that?
Yep,
Thank
already
you,
got it
Ray.
written down.
Good.
Put
There
a
you go.
star next
It's
to it.
handled.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions on computer information resources policy? All right. We'll bring that back for the 21st.
And if I could just mention the social media policy. So we took our social media policy to update it, and it is so far out at this point that we're starting over. So we've solicited a number of other communities to get their best practices, and we'll put something together to put before the board.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank William. It's really him doing all that. I say we because I'm sitting here, but
Thanks, William.
You know, all praise goes to him. He's a great mentor.
Oh,
That's the right
please.
answer.
Two of you.
I apologize for this. Well, I can wait till correspondence and we can deal with that. We'll do that then. All right. Let's move on to select board reports. Anybody have any reports? I'll give you. So the ARPA committee will be organizing next Monday at 7 p.m. So we're going to start those meetings and kick off that charge. That's all I have to report at this time.
I have one, even though we haven't met yet. The fire chief search committee is meeting tomorrow evening, and we'll be reviewing resumes of our top picks. So we'll be moving along in that process.
All right, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else?
EDC is meeting next Monday.
So is library building committee next Monday.
Lots going on in ARPA. All right.
Yeah.
If there's any other, we'll move on to TA reports. Yep.
all right. Thank you. One new thing that I'm going to try to do is make some mention of folks that I think have gone above and beyond in the municipality. It might not be every week, just or every meeting, but I'd like to try to get into that a little bit. So I'd like to note Bob Berger, our building inspector. The weekend before Henri hit, not the weekend before, the Friday before, we got a call from an older couple who had just had a generator installed, a whole house generator for the husband who's on oxygen, and due to the scheduling, we were not able to get anybody out there. They weren't really due. It's just the electrician got it done quickly because of the impending storm. So I reached out to Bob, who was at Koopman's on his day off, just doing some shopping, and he left right from that store, went to the people's house, got everything squared away so that they were signed off right before the storm, and I know that gave them quite a bit of comfort heading into that, so I want to recognize that and thank him for that. And I also just want to generally mention the good work of our highway staff and PD and all our responders during basically rain event of the remnants of Ida. We had quite a bit of street flooding, and I know everyone was out overnight, and I think highway started at 4 a.m. to do detours and road assessments, and I think they did an excellent job. I went around in the morning and toured some of those spots. So I just want to thank Kevin Gallagher and Paul Canoyer and everyone else on their tremendous work on that. So on Friday, I spent 2.5 hours out on George Hill Road looking at drainage stuff in the wake of, again, Ida. And so we do have some ongoing drainage projects that'll be rolling out here in the next, hopefully, month or so. And so I'm working with those residents impacted directly. I met with 2 different households on Friday, and I think we came up with some pretty solid planning. So now we're just working through the legal stuff because there's easements and all the rest of it. And then the hardest part of the whole thing looks to be to get pipe. Because it's plastic extruded, and there's a huge shortage of extruded plastic in the United States right now. So we're hoping to track some of that down. I know they're working on that today, but we do have some really good forward motion there, and I think I know the residents that we were dealing with directly are happy to see some of these changes coming. The library, we're still working on the firm opening date. They did just get some of the shelving in today. There's more shelving due in the end of the week, and I am working with Beth on Friday of this week on tech pieces. So there's some gaps between what was provisioned for the building and then who maintains it and how do we make it talk to each other. So I'm working out some of that. And I just wanted to note quickly, there's been a couple calls about the landscaping. So landscaping will be ongoing, but it was, it didn't look great, but the construction folks were driving machines all over it and moving stuff around. So that's coming up pretty quickly here. I wanted to mention Conference Room F. There are new office chairs courtesy of the Cable Oversight Committee. They bought new chairs for around the committee table to facilitate kind of a better meeting on TV, and those chairs were really bad, so I appreciate them doing that. I went to their meeting 2 weeks ago, I think, to talk about that. And lastly, I wanted to make a comment about Facebook. I know that there is the site or the page, All Things Grafton, that everybody's on quite often. And I've seen a lot of comments lately about things like no one wants to answer this question. Nobody knows the answer to this, but I just want to remind folks that if you call us or email us, we will give you the answer. That's not a town moderated page, so we're not monitoring it on a Sunday to know that you want to know about the common, let's say. So if you want to shoot us something directly or through our Facebook page that is monitored by us, we're happy to give you those answers. And you can take that back to All Things Grafton or wherever else you want to post it. I do try to answer questions on there periodically, but I don't see all the traffic. And so just want to remind people that perfectly open to answer the questions. Just got to reach out to us. That's all I have for update.
Any questions from the board? I just want to call out, I know George Hill Road is a sensitive topic for those residents, and I know some people in Grafton. I just want to thank you and DPW, Paul, for going out there and working with these residents one-on-one. I know that can be challenging, and it's nice to hear that the residents are appreciative of this. I'm encouraged by the support for those residents, especially during these past few weeks where it's just been unbelievable amount of water in a short amount of time. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I want to thank the patience of the residents of George Hill Road as well, and for reaching out and showing us what the problems are.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to say that this is where good, effective communications works about getting something temporary. But I know the eye on the prize is doing something permanent with that road, and I know we're still in hand discussions about moving that initiative forward. Anyone have any other questions or comments? All right, none. All right, next up I've got correspondence. I gave you all a copy before we get into the ones in the packet. We received correspondence late this afternoon at 4:19 p.m. From Mr. Spinney, who's the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. I stamped it in when I came here at the town office at 6:37 p.m. tonight. I'd like to know if the board would take this under just the routine process of accepting a resignation of Mr. Crossan from the Affordable Housing Trust so they can get a vacancy posted up sooner rather than later. Does anyone have any objections? Okay. Just wanted to let everyone know that the letter was sent to Mr. Spinney. Please accept this email as formal notification that I'm resigning from my position as trustee of the Town of Grafton Affordable Housing Trust effective immediately. After a great deal of consideration, I have decided to resign from the trust due to my current work and family commitments. In regard, I will not have adequate time to effectively fulfill the requirements of a trustee. It has been my pleasure to serve over the past 7 years, and I offer my best wishes for the trust's future success. Sincerely, Dan Crossan. All right. If anyone doesn't have any questions or comments, I can entertain a motion to accept this resignation.
So I make a motion we accept the resignation of Dan Crossan from the Affordable Housing Trust effective immediately and send him a letter of thanks.
Second.
Motion made at second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimous. Evan, if you could get an advertisement out on the town website immediately for the position. I know that committee's going to be very busy
Yes.
for the foreseeable future.
We will
Thank
get right on that.
Great. In addition to other correspondence, I know we received a letter from Mr. Turgeon with regards to the public hearing on Tuesday that will be entered into the public record. Thursday. Did I say Tuesday? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thursday. Thursday, the 9th. Thank you. If there's any questions on that, which I'm sure we'll talk about on Thursday, does anyone have any comments from Ms. Sullivan regarding latest census figures?
Did anybody respond? Do we know?
Not yet. I didn't know how to respond to something. I'm not sure what the specific question is, other than showed marked increase of 11% over the previous census. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but I wasn't in a position to respond. I don't know if anyone else has. So.
Is she press, or what is the story for?
It's wickedlocal.com, which is a press. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's okay.
So that's you or Evan, right? That we determined?
Yeah. So we'll, if the board's okay, then we'll give a response. Evan and I will draft one and we'll send it off. Okay. And Mr. Yako from Christopher Drive, with regards to mowing, does anyone have any questions or comments on that? All right. George Hill Road from Ms. Jackman. Ms. Bogar regarding the library and common renovation. Any comments on Mr. McGovern's annual farm tour? You said you attended.
William did.
William, you did?
I did, yes.
Okay. How was it?
Yes, I was there.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there.
No. It was very good. It was well attended. The owners of the farm, Global Villages, did bring up some concerns they had about zoning. So I gave them my business card and told them to reach out and we would see what we can do about getting them on a development team meeting to talk about what they're trying to do and how we can get it accomplished. And they seemed very thankful and receptive to that. So we'll see if they reach out.
Great. Thank you for doing that. That's great.
Thanks, William.
Appreciate it, William.
My pleasure.
All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. Discussion. So first up here, I know I moved a couple of items here, so let's just go down start here, pre-filing settlement negotiations with Grafton and Upton Railroad. Is everyone going to be in attendance for Thursday? Let me just ask that.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're going to have it here. I haven't gotten any indication that there's been, a lot of people. I have a feeling some people are probably going to come in Zoom. We've already received some correspondence via written last week. Just so, we're all on the same page here. This is not going to be a question and answer session with the public about Grafton up the road. This is just them testifying about the impact that they've had in the community for the Environmental Protection Agency. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about that approach before we get into Thursday?
Are we putting time limits on everybody, or do they get to just go for as long as they would like?
I'd give everyone, an equal amount of a few minutes at the most.
Okay.
If there's a request to go further and if the board wishes to indulge that, I think that should be done on a case-by-case basis. But I'll leave that up to the board. But I think everyone should know that they get a few minutes and, we're going to keep this moving along, so.
Yeah, if we have 30 people there, let's keep it to like 90 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's 5, then sure.
90 seconds.
Maybe 120 seconds.
95.
No, I think that's absolutely the correct approach, right? If you have 5 people in the room, a 2-minute time limit might seem a little bit ridiculous, but if you've got 30 people, then it seems absolutely prudent.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Okay. And people have an opportunity to send in a written statement. I know we said the deadline was the end of today, but if people do come to our meeting with an actual written letter that they signed, we will get it to the town administrator's office and have it scanned in as part of the public record, as part of that public hearing. Any rate, if there isn't any other concerns, you can.
I do have one more question. How much were we able to pull up from past correspondence and, past meetings that things were discussed?
We did have a few,
Okay,
but not a ton.
that's great. At least it's some.
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I just have a quick comment, really directed to the public that, if they to encourage people to come on Zoom if they're not comfortable coming in, that we're not going to give more time to people in person versus Zoom. We will probably toggle back and forth, and there's no need to come into the studio if you want to come on Zoom, and you'll offer the link, right, if they contact I think it's
It's
public
posted.
anyway.
It's
It's
posted.
posted,
Yep.
so
If they go on grafton-ma.gov, they'll
Yeah.
find it right under calendar, go to that day, and there it is.
just for people who are unfamiliar with how we're running public meetings nowadays, that Zoom is completely appropriate, and you'll be handled the same as if you were here in person.
And what people need to do is that if they want to come in and give public comment, they just need to raise their hand. We have William here who will attend to that list, and he'll notify us when the next person who raised their hand is going to come into the meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
So how many people are we gonna allow in the room? This is when you say 30 people, and there could be 30 people in here. I'll be honest with you, I don't go into restaurants, because of the concern of COVID. So 30 people sitting in this room, I'll be leaving. I just wanna let you know, I'm not gonna sit in here with 30 people in this room. It's not gonna happen.
Could you attend remotely in that case?
I could, yeah.
I mean, you can go to another part of the office in the building here that's not in this room. That's
Yeah, and I'd do the same.
So do we want to set, if you want to set a maximum that you're comfortable with in the room, we can make sure that that's well posted, there's only that number of seats, and then I can put up seating in the hallway, and you can, as
It's either
people
that,
speak, they can leave.
it's either that to make, or to make it easier, I'll do it remote.
No, I think it's, maybe we just allow 10 people in the room at a time, and if there's people outside, then we'll accommodate. We'll rotate
Yeah.
people in and out.
Is 10 the number that people?
I threw that number out there.
Yeah,
I had no scientific
We have no
rationale
idea how
for
many
that
people
number.
are gonna show up.
Right.
So since there is this level of concern, how difficult would it be to make it all remote? Rather than cause confusion of, oh my gosh, am I gonna be the 11th person? Oh my gosh, and I can't drive home in time to get on Zoom,
I
and
can't listen to what this
And I
other
want to hear what
person
the other,
says.
yeah.
I feel like going all Zoom wouldn't be the worst thing.
I say we play it by ear. I say if there's 10 people and there's 13 people, 3 people outside, we just rotate people. We just tell people, look, you just need to kind of switch people in and out. You can still see it in the TV in the hall. They can turn the audio up.
I would predict we have a lot of people. We're gonna have a lot of people show up.
Yeah, but that mixed with the level of concern, I mean, I would totally be in favor of making this a remote event.
I would too. I mean, I think we could accommodate people who don't have access to Zoom, if that's the case, but, just say besides that, I would encourage that.
All right. Have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, you have no idea who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated.
Right.
It's, the masks provide, about what did they say, 50 or 52% protection.
Mm.
And if we get, a ton of people in the room, it's just not a good thing.
So why don't we do this then? Why don't we just plan on it being remote only for those people? The 5 of us will be in here, okay? And we'll tell people it's remote only, but we need to push that out.
Yep.
People need to know ASAP. But if you know people, no one's really reached out to me. The only person who's actually been proactive has been Mr. Turgeon. But I'm sure there'll be like 5 or 6 other people who are going to show. But if you know of a bunch of people, Doreen, you need to let them know who that is.
I don't. This is just my prediction. I mean, the railroad has been an issue for people for years, and this is an opportunity, and I'm just predicting that people are going to have things to say.
All right.
All right, so we will push that out first thing in the morning. The public can be remote, and we will be in person.
I think that's a good approach.
And we'll
Me
make
too.
sure that everything is set up technologically for that, like it is right now.
Okay. All right.
Good.
I'm glad we had this discussion and didn't figure this out the night of. All right.
So in case people don't get the memo though, maybe we can just mark off some chairs, or I don't
Lock the
know.
door.
Yeah, I guess post a note or something. Just
Yeah, we'll work on that.
people will turn up.
Well, can we? All right.
We can
so
utilize
this is this.
social
No,
media.
I'm going to now bring up the whole thing about when you're having a public hearing, can you deny the people from coming in?
Well,
And this is getting at the requirement and full accessibility.
Well, if we make the requirement that it's Zoom access public hearing, then that's what it is. So,
right, like I would prefer to just attend it on Zoom too, because it's just easier to follow along. If everybody else is on Zoom and we're sitting here, that puts us at a deficit, where it's easier, as we know, because we've done it for the last year, to just do it all in Zoom. We can see who's there, we can see who's raising their hands, we can all be just participating that way, and then there is no access issue. We're all on Zoom. Nobody came to the building, nobody was in the room. Put a sign on the door, go home, log on. This is where we are.
I think
Yeah.
that's
It's a
reasonable.
good way to do it too.
Yeah.
I think it
Okay.
is.
Let's change this then to 100% remote only.
You got it. We can, meet with,
Good idea, Colin.
no, we can just get that done in the morning.
I've been
for
quiet.
Wednesday.
It's been
Yep.
bubbling under me. I need one good idea tonight.
No.
I think that's your second good idea.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
my
it is
Really?
too. I think it's the second one.
If
Give
you
yourself
motion
some
to
credit.
adjourn, that'll be final.
I don't think I'm even at one yet. You're good.
No, we're getting through this
We're
pretty good
cruising.
tonight. We're cruising. Yeah,
You
we're
just
all
jinxed
prepared,
us.
which is great. All right, so we'll move that to 100% remote. I say you get a press release out there to let Patch know, Grafton News know, let Grafton Times know.
Grafton Common.
Grafton, did I say Grafton
You
Times?
said Grafton
did.
Times. That was
It's not
good.
even Throwback Thursday, and I said Grafton
No.
Times. All right, Jen will appreciate the throwback. Yes, the Grafton Common, please, and get that out to them like tonight. That would be great. Is that something that can be done, William?
Well, Grafton Commons on the meeting, so I think they know.
I want something that you're right.
Yeah, no, we can get something out.
Okay, appreciate it. I know the journalists would appreciate that too.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we have tax rate and stabilization accounts for discussion. Any
Oh, am I leading that?
the tax rate and stabilization accounts?
I mean,
yes.
I'll lead it if you want, but I guess, so this was something that I asked to be added. Just as a little bit of context, I guess, back in 2014, we adopted an override which had a component of the road stabilization project. So that was $1.5 million. The select board made a decision, a deliberate decision to not increase the $1.5 million each year. We last year adopted another $800,000 in capital stabilization. We do have the opportunity, I believe. I asked Evan to look into the warrant article language to make sure that we have the opportunity. I think we should be increasing our both of those stabilization accounts by 2.5% each year, so that effectively we don't run into the same situation that we ran into with the original sort of kind of policy that back in the 80s and 90s they had, which was we're going to put $1 million towards capital each year, and that's fine when you first adopt it, but then over time you just lose to inflation. And so what ends up happening is then we get in a situation where 10 years from now we're saying that $1.5 million for road stabilization and the 800 for capital stabilization, it's not enough anymore. So now we're having to tack that onto another override and have a big tax increase all in 1 year. And I think it's a much more stable approach, much more sustainable approach to just increase it by 2.5% each year. And because we're only talking about 2.3 million, you know, the extra 2.5% on that in terms of levy, it's not going to impact households much at all. So we'll have a very, you know, we're at almost a $70 million budget. This is a small percentage of that. So we're not talking about a big tax increase. It's a very incremental, small tax increase over time that just makes for a more sustainable budget. You know, so just I did some numbers with if we had increased our road stabilization starting in 2015, instead of having 1.5 million, we'd have about 1.8 million. So we'd had almost another 300,000 each year to be doing road projects, and we need that money. I think that's basically what I have to say about it. I just think it's a better policy than having this approach where we're not doing that, and then, you know, every decade or two we've got to go and say we need another big chunk of money in order to be able to do that. We can always change the policy, but just the reason that this came up was because we're about to set the tax rate, and you know, this is a component of the tax rate. So we talked about it a little bit earlier as a board, I think last year, but it
Yeah,
just
we did.
it kind of went by the wayside, and we never made the decision concrete. So that's why I asked people.
Thanks for bringing it back, 'cause it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think with Mary would have to come with her presentation, you know, with that request calling out, I think that specific ask, I think is that something that you wanna see in part of like when she proposes the tax rate?
Yeah, so she does it every year, right? She does an amazing job on the tax rate discussion.
Yep.
So yeah, this would be again a very small incremental change, but it could be part of that discussion for sure.
And it looks like Grafton's procedure is the board generally writes a letter that asks them to raise it on the levy, ask the assessor to. So I can put in motion that same policy you've done in years past, but just including the 2.5% change.
Perfect.
So we did, I didn't, Mary Lauria had a conversation with the the auditors, this morning. And she's gonna be having further conversation with them in the next couple of days. Just as what they wanna see for verbiage, but,
Okay.
it's definitely attainable.
Good. All right. Yeah, I just think it's a better approach.
I agree.
I agree too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing it back up.
I don't wholly agree. I'd like to see, you know, we've got this $1.5 million for road stabilization and everything. Is there an end date to that? Is there a plan in place that shows this road, that road, this road, this road?
Yeah,
And-
there's
and
an
in
asphalt
20
management plan.
In 2032, we're all done?
No, cause in 2032 you start over.
So, well, I just threw that, I just yanked that out of my butt, so
You could say tomorrow, I'd still tell you we start over.
okay.
That's how asphalt management plans work.
So, no, I understand that. So, in the past, since 2014, we have done fewer roads based on inflation in asphalt prices and labor and everything like that. So, and I'm just gonna go over this past year, those prices and everything has gone up 30%.
Yep.
So, you're talking about raising it 2.5%. And we're behind the 8 ball already. So, I'm not in favor of increasing it. I'd like to see where we are, and the end date of where we are, of this $1.5 million, because let's take the $1.5 million and you say, okay, well, we could have had $1.8 million.
Uh-huh.
In 2032, that's gonna be $5 million.
Well-
So again, I'm trying to relate it to work, the work completed. So if the $1.5 million completes our roads in this time frame, the 2.5, the additional 2.5 increase completes them earlier or later? What is it? So that's what I'd like to see, because if we don't have to increase it by 2.5% at all, and we don't add any money to this, and it increases our completion date by 3 years, and again, I'm just throwing this up. If it increases our completion date by 3 years, it's not worth adding 2.5% to it every single year, you know, for the next 30 or forever and ever, amen. So, I'm not totally against it, Matt.
I'll just say this: if we get to the point where everybody says we have such incredible roads, because that's not what I'm hearing right now, that we don't want to be putting any additional money in.
Yep.
Then we just stop it. We don't have
Yeah, no,
to.
I'm not
we don't
saying-
have to do that every year.
I'm gonna interrupt you. Colleen had a question over here.
I think there's just this assumption that there is an end date, especially with roads and capital, and there just is never going to be an end date. We will never get all of the capital completed, because as soon as you build a building, it starts deteriorating and you need to maintenance it and then eventually replace it down the line. Same with the fire truck, same with the police car, same with roads. As soon as you finish the whole cycle, you gotta start it over again. So there is never going to be an end date. And if we stay at 1.5 and if we stay at 800,000 in 2030, 2040, we're just so far behind that we're going for overrides
Right,
again.
and the end date that I'm talking about, Colleen, is when this thing was put together at $1.5 million per year. someone put together a plan and put a time frame to that plan, that it's gonna take us 10 years to do all of the roads with this $1.5 million. They didn't just say, well, we're gonna throw $1.5 million out there, and yeah, we'll finish all the roads, someday. There had to be a plan that was put together. I'd like to see that plan. That's the thing. I wanna know how long it's gonna go for. That's all. I totally agree with what
So you
you're
just
saying.
want to know how long the cycle is before it starts over
Correct.
again.
Someone put together a plan, $1.5 million a year, plus our chapter 90 money, whatever you use on that. And in 2024, we're gonna be all done, and we're gonna start recycling again. I'd like to see that.
Gotcha.
That's
And-
all.
Okay.
Can I add to that or ask a question, Ray? So what I'm hearing from you too is that you're saying if we're adding 2.5% every year, and with current inflation, we would be in a position where we're, that, let's say that 300,000, like Matt had said, we're still going to be asking people for more money, because even at that, what's the cost benefit analysis of that? Is it 2 years, or is it 1 year? Like, how much does that help us? So if we know what the 1.5 million time frame is, we can better adjust or plan forward, what that 2.5%, let's say, how much that increases with inflation, and is that enough, or what's going to be the long-term plan for that? Where did that 1.5 million come from, and what's the completion date for that?
Right, if you keep adding 2.5% to it, there's gotta be a time frame
Right.
of when we're gonna get to that point where we're gonna start over again, like Evan said.
So does the 2.5 buy us 2 years or 3 years, and there's still going to have to be a start date again with another 1.5 million?
Correct.
Yes.
So you have all of that in your inbox. I just
Okay.
sent it to you.
Oh.
All of our inboxes?
Oh, good. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Okay, with that, any other questions or comments?
No, I still really like the idea, and I look forward to Mary's presentation, and we can.
Yeah, and look, this isn't a suggestion on my part to make this a policy that we do every year. I just think I would like to see it happen this year, and for us to have that longer term discussion about what the strategy, I guess, is for roads.
Yes.
And so to look at some of this additional analysis. I don't see roads as vastly different though than buildings and fire trucks and everything else. We're building in Grafton significant infrastructure, so any plan that they had back in 2014, you might as well throw away now, because we've built so many new developments and they had no way of anticipating how much of that we were going to get. They had no way of anticipating the 30% increase in asphalt prices this year or anything else. I mean, that's not to say we don't use the data, but as a general principle, I'm much more in favor of incremental tax increases versus, jumping
Yeah.
large amounts as we
Absolutely,
have
yeah.
in the past two overrides.
Yep.
So
Yep.
as a general principle, that's more what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, but I understand what you said.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, next up, UPS tax incentive. Ray?
Yeah, so just like, the Centec Park and, the things that went on out there with Nature's Remedy and everything like that. We had HCA's sitting out there for 5 years, did nothing, no one ever did anything, and we didn't make any money on it. UPS has a very, in my opinion, and I've reviewed it, a very lucrative tax incentive to build a building over there. The discussion that I had with their attorneys, they do not at this time have any plans to do anything on that piece of property. And I would like to bring it before a town meeting to rescind the tax incentive. And when they're ready to go and do something, we'll look at it again. That, we'll negotiate a tax incentive with them again. It's a very lucrative tax incentive. It really is. I mean, I know UPS is gonna bring jobs and trucks and registrations and taxes and all of that stuff. But if you're not gonna do anything, we have to take back our incentive. And when you get ready to do something, we'll talk. We'll talk again. I just don't think we need to leave things hanging out there, just like Nature's Remedy, just like some of these other ones. It's hanging out there and nobody's doing a damn thing with it, and just take it back, and when they go to do it, yeah, we'll talk to them.
Can I ask just a quick question? In what capacity did you reach out to the UPS council?
Oh, Evan and I were trying to set up a meeting, with UPS council, and he got back to me,
Okay,
so.
gotcha. Could you forward us some of that information so we could see it too?
For one email, yeah.
Sweet, just to,
All right, any questions or comments? So, Ray, you want to bring this back to town meeting to rescind it?
Yep.
Okay. Have you heard of any other community that rescinded a tax
Yes.
incentive? Okay,
Yeah, I actually had one rescinded on me and Drake.
okay. All right.
And when it was rescinded, did that motivate you to,
It didn't,
not you personally, but whatever
Yeah.
project you were on?
well, there was, the funding for the project, was, they didn't have the funding for the project. So I got the tax incentive. I went and put the whole project together, got all the zoning, got all the approvals, got all the licenses, everything for it. And then the national company that was gonna build the building, or finance the building, couldn't get the financing. So I had to notify the town that happened, and they rescinded the, tax incentive.
Okay.
And they said, if it comes back again, we'll just, renegotiate the tax incentive. That's all.
And pardon me for not knowing this ahead of time, but does the current tax incentive have any sunset clauses or dates or times in it?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'll have to re-review
Yeah,
it.
you'd have to review it, but not that I'm aware of.
I wanted to say I thought it was a 15-year TIF.
Oh, no, the TIF itself.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a 15-year TIF.
yeah.
But what you're talking about, Peter, is how long is it good for?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's only good for the amount of time that the town allows it to be good for. We go back to town meeting and it's voted at town meeting to rescind the UPS, tax incentive, it's gone.
Okay.
And then you just go through the process again of when they're gonna start it over, that's all.
Which makes sense, I guess, because if they wait any longer, now we have the opportunity to renegotiate it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean,
Or we give them the same one, it's just the idea of that thing hanging out there.
housekeeping.
And, yeah, it's just, we can't, again, I'm gonna go back to Nature's Remedy. We can't have stuff that we gave to people hanging out there and they're not doing anything with it. It's either you do it, or we take it back and we'll negotiate it at a later date. That's all.
So I guess my only concern is if we were to take that action, would it de-incentivize them from restarting that initiative?
No.
In any way? Well, I don't know that, but that's my concern. Or would it motivate them actually to sell the property where we might actually get some other tax revenue from some other,
And then the incentive doesn't go with the property.
right, I'm just trying to
So.
think through, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the implications of us taking that action?
Yeah.
Right.
Again, I want something built. It's,
Yeah, we all do.
I know we all do, but, if it incentivizes people,
So
then
they
fine.
have no plans for the foreseeable future.
That's what his attorney said to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so then, what's it hurt taking it off?
Right.
Okay. All right, so we'll bring that back. If you could send a copy of that agreement in full that was executed to the whole board, that would be great.
Looking for it right now.
Yeah. I do know it was during the October 15, 2018 semi-annual town meeting. I believe it was Article 16. All right. All right, next up here, so one of the things I want to do, I know we're going over policies, and Colleen had called me and asked to put this on here for a specific policy, but wanted to know, if the board has any input that they want to provide to Evan. I know we're doing things in a systematic way that they're chipping away at with our policies, but I want to give this opportunity to you all about if there's some policy that you feel that we should be prioritizing. So I figured this is a good point, good time to discuss that, and bring that open. I know, Colleen, I think you may have one or two or three.
Or at least one for sure, but I'm always thinking. So I would like to see a policy on citizens petitions. I think that over the last couple of years, there's been a good amount of confusion out there. I think residents, it's already kind of an overwhelming hurdle when you've never done it before to just help them through the process, what we do and what we don't do, essentially. Are we going to invite people in? Are we not? That was politicized, and I don't want that to ever happen to someone again. And I know that some people are under the impression they needed to get approved by us first, which just isn't the case. However, we have given guidance to people over recent years when they've come in, so I could see why that would be confusing. So just having a policy that people could refer to on what it is and isn't something that the select board does when it comes to citizens petitions.
Okay. So is that something that we would draft ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind drafting it and then having William and Evan say, that was terrible, let me draft it again. But just something simple, nothing too crazy. Just what we do and don't do, and then you guys can rip it apart, and that'll be on.
Anyone have any questions or any other priority of policies that they want to bring forward?
No, I like that one though, just some guidance.
Yeah.
Now you can just refer people to it.
When I was a town moderator, all of those citizens petitions got referred to me. So if
Do you want
somebody was wanted to submit a citizens petition, it would go to the moderator. The moderator would give them the language or how to put it together. Or there were a couple of cases where I told them that it's not even a citizen's petition. Don't even attempt it. So, and there's a lot of things in there, like people think they can change them, you can substitute them, you can amend them, and you can't. Right. You can't do any of that. So, that's how I did it. So.
Do you want to draft it then? Is that you might have a little bit more expertise?
No.
All right, I'm just
No,
saying.
see, the thing is that I'm not sure that you can write a specific policy based on a citizen's petition, because they're all different. And they have to be, they have to have the 10 signatures, and they have to have a specific purpose. Either it's money or it's something in there. And it's more of reading it, interpreting it, and giving them the direction that they need.
So there is a template like that the town clerk provides. So I'm not trying to replace that, but just kind of advising people what our role is and isn't when it comes to them. And I think there is confusion because I think as boards change, the role kind of has changed depending on, the climate.
Well, does the board have a role at all?
One year, I want to, if I may interject, there was one year where it was pretty embarrassing where a member of the board did take action and caused some major confusion. I would agree that because there was no policy about what is the board's role with the citizens petition, then leaves it up to maybe board members interpreting it as, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I don't think the board has a role in citizens petitions at all. I
I
think that's
would
all.
agree
I think that it's all the moderator.
Well,
And-
the select board has to place it on the warrant, though.
And the town clerk.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we have a legal obligation.
You have to put it on.
You do. I just want to point out that as long as you have a moderator that's going to like you did with Columbus Day and
Indigenous people.
yeah, but there was another one too.
Indigenous.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, right?
Yeah.
So you had recommended that you might want to split those two petitions because otherwise it's one size fits all, and if you get, I just would hate to see the select board's ability to advise people diminished because you don't want to have any role, because I think there's some value in that. Having done it so many times and seen it in so many different ways, you do have some wisdom to impart to help people navigate the process.
Yep.
But I think you need a policy so that it's consistent. right? So if the board is against whatever they're trying to do, you also can't.
Take it off the warrant.
Right.
Right, well, and we also don't want to be careful about sort of using, you know, our town council, and, because we've had people reaching out for that as well, right?
Yep.
Because they just don't know, right?
Right. I don't think it's gonna be this huge in-depth 10-page thing. It's
No, no.
gonna be a paragraph at best, if I
Yeah.
can muster that much, you know?
It sounds more logistical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have a priority of policy that they want to bring forward?
Have we gotten through all the finance policies? I think we had determined that those were our priorities. We
Yep,
did,
those are
yep.
done, and then we moved on to tech. The only one you haven't come back to the rules and procedures conversation that you had started.
That was at our last workshop.
Yep, so that you probably want to finalize either doing that or not doing that, and then we'll do these two computer policies. The policy that Colleen, sorry, I'm already forgetting what it is you talked about. I was looking for the tip in here.
So awesome, that's why.
Yes, yes.
It's about citizens petitions.
Citizens petitions, thank you. Jeez. So we can do that one next, and then I'd like to start taking them maybe one at a time, going forward.
I like
for a
that.
little bit
Some of
because
them are big.
we have a lot of stuff on our plates right now, and it's just want to make sure that we're doing them, you know, keep the forward momentum, but maybe not overwhelm us with
Yeah.
policy review.
Yeah, this pace is definitely not sustainable, just.
No, William's
30
exhausted.
pages.
I caught him sleeping at his desk today, face down in a computer policy.
That is not true. I'd just like to let you know that is not true.
All right, I have a picture with this.
Did you know that there was a OSHA hazard to writing policies past 9 p.m.? They advise against it.
It's only 8:50, so we got 9 more minutes.
Oh, good. Keep that up. All right. Okay, great. All right. Well, that kind of sums up our discussion. Meeting minutes. I've got 4 of them here: September 16th of 2020, October 20th of 2020, January 6th of 21, and August 17th of 21. How does the board wish to move forward?
I did just have a comment about the October 20th. It starts with an informal workshop meeting, and I just don't like the idea of calling any of our meetings just informal. It just sounds unimportant, and setting our goals sets the tone for the year, and I just don't believe informal works there, but
So
These are our meeting minutes, Colleen. Would you like to make
just
an
strike.
amendment?
Yeah, just strike informal, just a workshop meeting. Or
Okay.
even call it the goals workshop meeting.
So line 7, strike the word informal.
Yes, please.
Any other comments on the September 16th, 2020?
That was October
That was
20th.
October
I'm
20.
sorry, October 20th. That's line 7. Well, then you would do the same thing for September 16th as well, line 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would suggest moving forward, we just put select board meeting minutes and then either workshop or business meeting underneath that, and then you take it out of the narrative altogether.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Okay.
So moved.
I don't think you can do that.
Oh, well. That's
You
about
can, it doesn't work, but you
You
can do
did,
it.
but
I was gonna say, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah. It's still early. We're not kinda pecked yet. We can
Not that early.
we can still operate. All right. Any other questions or comments on meeting minutes? All right. Can I have a motion?
I move the board vote to accept the meeting minutes of September 16th, 2020, October 2020, January 6th, 2021, and August 17, 2021, as amended.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? Just noting September 16th and October 20th have a change. Hearing no other discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Declare the motion carried. Okay. We have a reason to go into executive session for meeting minutes, prior meeting minutes. If you give me 1 second here. Just real quick, so we're having a workshop next Tuesday. It's a couple of items on the agenda are, we're going to start talking about, the fire chief interviews, that process that's going to be coming up soon. In addition to that, Colleen?
possible bylaw amendment.
A possible bylaw amendment with regards to town meeting, and then
Setting a goals meeting.
setting the goals meeting. So we have those 3 items. If there is one more, I I think we can kind of maybe get 4 in on that one, but there's 2 heavy topics, I think, in that discussion are going to take a lion's share of the time, at least I'm predicting. But if someone needs or would like to add something to the workshop that has materials and stuff that they could share, please get it to me by noontime tomorrow so Joanne can get the packet together and post.
Are we providing, we meaning you, are you providing any information to the board on the fire chief search committee for the workshop?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Is there anything you need from me to add? Awesome.
Same question, but about the bylaw amendment.
Sure.
Awesome.
I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
So I think we can
Okay.
do that.
All right, so at this point in time, I would like the select board will now consider entering an executive session in accordance with the open meeting law, chapter 38, section 21A, pursuant to approving prior meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded. This will be a roll call, please. When I call your name, please respond and your vote. Ms. DeFazio?
DeFazio, aye.
Mr. Mead?
Mead eye.
Mr. Often?
Often aye.
Ms. Roy?
Roy, aye.
Carlson, aye. I declare that we will go into executive session and that to have the discussion in open session would be a detriment to the town. We will only be reconvening in open session for the purposes of adjournment. I would like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Have a good night.